So next up we have some non-refrigerated cooking ingredients and different stuff. And then next up we'll cover, refrigerated items and frozen things. I'll pull those out real quick for you guys. Now I will say that a lot of stuff we still had plenty of stock on, like black sesame and rice and, all that stuff we still had. But as far as what we picked up yesterday, first up we have one of my personal favorite things. This is Kewpie mayonnaise. And you might be thinking, oh, well, it's mayonnaise. It's very, very different tasting than normal mayonnaise. I don't really know how to explain it, but I will say that, like, for me, I mean, I like normal mayonnaise, but Kewpie mayonnaise it's a lot different. So, I mean, that's the best way I can put it. Of course, this you have to refrigerate it after you open it, but until then, it's good. But I guess I want to say maybe it's more egg-ish than normal mayonnaise. It's kind of hard to explain, but it is different. It's something more like you could use even to like dip things in, whereas I don't think normal mayonnaise is something that you would dip things in or put on rice or something like that. So it's a different taste. So, but that is a Japanese mayonnaise. Also, we got some more miso paste. This stuff is used to make miso soup, and you can also do it with noodles, and there's all different kinds of uses for it. But that's what this is. It's just a miso. If you look here, it's kind of like just like a brown paste that you put on, and you'll mix it depending on what you're wanting to do with it. But one of the most common uses for it is miso soup. So that's probably something a lot of you are probably familiar with. Miso soup is you can buy it in like quick forms in like little packets and stuff like that, and you just dump it in. This is less of a like a prepackaged dried miso. It's more like the actual paste. It's more liquidy, I guess. Yeah, it's a same taste, I guess, as just the dried miso. But you can use it, for other things other than just miso soup. Next up, we got some Bulgogi Marinade. This is great for, you can use this for making bulgogi, which is actually what we had for lunch yesterday as well. We stopped at a Bulgogi restaurant there. But bulgogi, if you're not familiar with what that is, it's generally rice and some kind of meat and vegetables, and the meat's marinated and stuff in this marinade. Korean food is generally very, it's spicy, but also they use a lot of meat. They're known for like barbecue and also beef and different things like that. They are known for that, and that's what this is for. Which actually, for those of you that don't know, a lot of the hibachi style restaurants that you see where you go in and like the chefs cook right there in front of you, and they always claim like Japanese cuisine. That was actually a Korean thing. Is where it originated from. It's not actually Japanese. Though I will say that when you're in Japan, there's a lot of restaurants where they'll bring your food out and you'll cook it on a hot flat stove like that. But the actual like presentation and stuff like that, that's more of a Korean thing. Also, we got some panko breadcrumbs. This is great for making tempura. And if you're not familiar with tempura, what that is, basically you'll take like vegetables or meat, a lot of times shrimp, and you'll bread them with these panko breadcrumbs. They're a little bit different than standard breadcrumbs. A little bit different taste and a little bit different of a texture and stuff. And you'll fry those, and you get like this like breaded vegetable. You can also do ice cream in it. There's deep fried tempura style ice cream. It's actually very, very good. Next up, we have dried pork. This stuff is very, very good. You can throw it in ramen, or all different kinds of uses. It's basically just a dried pork. It's really, really flavorful. If you ever just take a handful and eat it, you can do that. It's similar. If you've ever had those, like the dried shredded jerky, you can find that in a lot of American convenience stores and stuff like that. This is similar in style to that, but it's more designed for throwing in ramen or cooking with it, stuff like that. Though you can just sit and eat it, it is very, very good. Next up, we got a bunch of hot curry mix. In my area, you can actually buy the mild curry mix, but you can't buy the hot. I know some other, a lot of other places, curry is a popular dish. And for those of you that have watched my streams and stuff, you often know that I'm usually going, whenever I end the stream, I'm going to, start dinner or something like that. Now, oftentimes I will make curry for dinner, which if you're not familiar with it, you can actually kind of see a picture here of what it's like. Generally, when we make it, we'll make rice, and then we'll make curry. And what you do is you put the curry, you can either put it in a bowl and put it on top of the rice, or you can put it on a plate, like curry on one side, rice on the other, and then you mix it together. Curry is basically a very, very flavorful sauce, and then you'll put things like potatoes, carrots, beef. You can also do it with lamb or even chicken if you wanted to. I don't usually do it with chicken, but anyways, that's basically what curry is. We got a bunch of this mix because curry is absolutely wonderful food, and you can actually make this very, very cheap. Very, very cheap. Because you can generally what we'll do is we'll just go buy a little bit of beef, a little bit of potatoes, some onions, green onions, which we actually grow our own green onions. Because if you ever bought green onions, then you know that, you'll cut down the green onion and you always have the bulb left. I don't think anybody really uses the bulb for cooking, normally anyway. So you always cut down, you'll get down so far, and then you'll have that bulb part and the roots and stuff. What you can do is you can actually just take that root and just stick it in some water, in like a glass cup even, or a bowl, or anything like that. Just put it up in your windowsill, and they will actually grow fairly quickly. We actually have quite a few set out, doing that with it. So for example, like these right here, these are ones that we'd cut down. I think these ones, they've only been growing for, I want to say like 5 days or something like that. And you'll notice, they grow insanely fast. After about a week, you'll be able to cut those down. And so, it's just easier. Of course, green onions really aren't that expensive, but it's just easier because a lot of times you'll go to the grocery and then you'll be like, oh, forgot green onions. But now, we have a stockpile of them all the time. So if you were ever curious about that or whatever, these are actually very, very easy because they require nothing but just keeping water in there. Throw them up in a windowsill and you'll have plenty of green onions. And next up we have seafood soup stock. This you can actually just make like a seafood soup with it. You can add some water to it and it makes an excellent soup. This can also be added to miso. So just keep that in mind. If you buy some of that miso paste that I talked about, you want to make some miso, you can add seafood soup stock to that. And there's a lot of other things that you can add to the miso, but this is one option. So this stuff is very, very cheap. I want to say it was only like a couple dollars for a pound of the soup stock, which will actually go really, really far. And the soup that you can make with this is absolutely amazing. And it's perfect if you make some of that soup, you can throw some of those like little dried shrimp in there. There you go. There's a lot of things that you can do with this. So, very, very nice. We also got a bunch more crushed red pepper. This is something that we use a lot of. This is just a very, very, very good red pepper. And you can buy a bag like this. It's a pound. You can buy it for just a couple dollars. So, we've actually got when we bought red pepper, I guess the first time a while back, it came in like a little plastic thing, shaker, I don't know, thing. I don't know what it's called. I'm not going to try to pretend like I know what it's called. But basically then we just buy those and just dump it in there, and it's super, super cheap to refill it up. And then lastly, right here, we actually had a little bit of this left, but we did buy some more. This is bonito flakes. It's a type of like flake, like dried fish, which is bonito fish. But it's very, very good to throw it in like soup, like the soup stock that I was talking about. Also ramen. It's very, very good. A lot of times you'll find this in especially like seafood, udon type noodles, and a lot of seafood ramen. It's a very, very flavorful fish. Very, very good. So chances are if you eat a lot of ramen, you've ate seafood ramen, then you've probably had bonito at least once, or probably more than that. So you will come across that a lot. So next up we have cold stuff. Let me go grab it real quick. Also a couple other cooking type ingredients that I forgot to mention. First up, we got some ground fresh chili paste. This stuff, if you look right there, it's chilies. When you use a bit of it when you're cooking, it does add a lot of really good spice to it. You can use just a little bit, kind of use it based on how spicy you want it. But you've probably seen this stuff before in, Chinese restaurants or something like that. It's very, very, very good. It's one of my favorite things. Like I'll sit and I'll just, eat a little bit of it, Very, very good stuff. Also this, I didn't buy this because actually last time I went, I bought quite a few things of this. But this is roasted black sesame. So, see black sesame seeds in there. I know I talked briefly about the black sesame before, but these you can just sit and eat them. They're good. If you like sunflower seeds or anything like that, you would probably love these. They're very, very good taste. And then on to the cold stuff. First up, we have this. This is kind of a dessert. It's a cold, you'll keep it in the freezer, and it's like a cold dessert. You will, whenever you open it, you'll let it thaw for just a minute, so it's not like frozen. But basically it's like almost like a cookie. It's not like a super sweet type cookie, but it's like this little fish, and I think they're the cutest things, I actually ate one of these on Christmas Eve when I was in Japan, and it was actually my first time, anyway, having one of these, and I actually shared it with a cat. And there's like all kinds of stray cats in Japan, and there's this cat up where I was staying. He was up on the roof, and I was sitting there like Christmas Eve sharing this little fish cookie with the cat. But these ones, if you notice right there at the bottom, these are filled with like a red bean paste, which red bean, absolutely amazing when it's used in like desserts and stuff. It's very, very, or the way they make it, it's sweet. Like the red bean paste, it's like a sweet, but it's not quite as unhealthy, I don't think, as like just pouring sugar and stuff, It's very, very good taste. But these are like little dessert type frozen things. So, and then we also got these, which are similar. You could say they're little fish, and they kind of look sad because you're about to eat them, but they're filled with ice cream. Very, very tasty. Very, very tasty. If you want like a really good ice cream, it's filled with ice cream, and it's that cookie kind of outside. I'd almost kind of liken that cookie almost to like a vanilla wafer or something like that. It's not like a super sweet cookie, but it does have a little bit of sweetness and stuff. But it's almost like kind of like fluffy too, though. It's not like hard like a vanilla wafer. Then we also got red bean buns. These are, similar to meat buns, but they're filled with red bean paste. You throw them in a steamer and kind of warm them up, and they are absolutely delicious. And then on that note, there's no way I could go without getting some meat buns. These are roast pork filling and oyster flavored sauce. These are meat buns. If you've ever seen any kind of anime, you've probably seen these. They're big, fluffy buns filled with like meat type filling, and you put them in a steamer. You heat them up. They are absolutely delicious. I will say the ones you get in America generally don't compare to the fresh ones that you have in Japan, but they are absolutely amazing. And there's all different kinds. At the store we went to, there was pork, beef, and chicken, I believe, are the only three they had. But if you ever go to Japan or something, you're probably going to come across a lot of other kinds of them. Next up, we have sushi ginger. This stuff, it's intended use is to be put on sushi. It's kind of like a flavor enhancer. If you ever tried ginger, it's a very, very strong taste. But honestly, I'll just sit and eat this. I love the ginger, ginger candies, all different kinds of ginger. I love ginger, and I will just sit and eat this stuff. But it is very, very tasty. If you've ever had sushi, you've probably seen generally the two toppings that they'll include with sushi is you'll have ginger and you'll have wasabi. So wasabi, of course, is really spicy. Ginger is it's a really strong ginger taste. Hard to explain. Then we've also got pickled plums. These are amazing. I will say that if you've never tried these before and you happen to pick them up, just a heads up, it's probably going to be a bit of a shock value when you first eat them, because, of course, plums you generally associate with being like a sweet type fruit. Pickled, they're... my girlfriend actually really liked them. It was her first time trying them, because the first thing when I got home yesterday from all that driving, the first thing that I ran upstairs after we got everything unpacked, I had me a pickled plum. I love these things. They're very, very good as especially after dinner. Usually eat a couple, something like that. But I will tell you, like, her comment was that they reminded her of warheads. They are very, very sour. Like, I think she almost spit it out, and then she kind of got accustomed to the taste. They are extremely sour. Like, they make warheads look like M&Ms, But then once you get through them, there's a little bit of a sweet aftertaste, and you'll taste that plum. They are very, very tasty, though, especially if you like pickled stuff and you don't mind sour stuff. But if you have never had them, they might be a shock, when you first eat them. We also have some of these snow ice. These are from the Latte brand. This is another great brand. Latte does a lot of desserts and candies and stuff like that, so you may have seen them. But this is a coffee shake, and there's actually a lot of different kinds of the snow ice, different flavors and stuff like that. This one is a coffee shake. Basically, you'll let it thaw for a minute, and you'll open up the tab here, and then you'll drink it. It's really, really similar. When I was in around the Yokohama area and stuff, there was this thing that we could get there called bonbon ice. And it's really kind of similar, except bonbon ice is actually in a balloon. And it's like ice cream that's in a balloon. But it's a similar idea. You'll open this up and just kind of drink it. It's very self-explanatory. But it's basically just like an ice cream, almost. Like an ice cream shake. The next up we have daifuku, rice cakes. This is similar to mochi. It's kind of like a cold mochi. These ones are red bean. They're filled with red bean, and it's really just kind of like a cold mochi. So there's what it looks like, and it's got a nice little picture of Mount Fuji. I actually had daifuku the first night when I got to Mount Fuji, because they had it in a vending machine, and so I was like, I kept getting it because it is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Red bean, if you've never tried it, you definitely need to try it. It's very, very tasty. It's probably some of the best desserts ever. Best desserts. Then next up, we have sushiko, this is basically fish eggs. You're going to see this a lot of times on sushi. Specifically, it's a lot of times you'll see sushi that has like the orange topping. That's what this is. This is fish eggs. This is Kaplan roe. Now, I will say that when I was in Japan, there's another kind that's orange. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's salmon roe. That's my personal favorite, but sadly they did not have that there. But it's a bigger egg. It's a bigger fish egg, and when you eat it, it kind of just like bursts in your mouth, and all that flavor kind of fills it up. This stuff is very, very tasty. It's actually not expensive. I believe this container was $3. So, I mean, I think a lot of people, whenever they see fish eggs, they think, caviar. It's going to be really, really expensive. It's not expensive at all. But this stuff is very, very tasty. You've probably had it, or you've at least seen it if you've ever had sushi. It's very, very common. But, I can just sit and eat this stuff. When I was in Japan, it was around New Year's, and they have like these big boxes that they'll buy with like different tiers, and there's different kind of food like meats and vegetables and desserts and stuff like that. And they actually had a bunch of this, and we would just sit and eat it. It's absolutely, absolutely delicious. But you can also use it to top stuff as kind of like a garnish, or use it on sushi as well. I'm actually having to wipe some of the ice off of this stuff. Next up, we have red komaboko. This stuff right here. There's also a white version. It was there, and I forgot to grab it, and I'm kicking myself for it. Basically, what this stuff is, if you notice on the back here, it's like a board that it's on. But basically, this stuff is a fish cake, and basically, it's not like a salty, oceany taste. It's just like a fish taste. And yeah, that's what it is. You can throw it. It's really, really good in ramen. Just cut it up and throw it in the ramen. But I've actually almost ate one of these. I try to go slow on it, but me and my girlfriend together have almost ate a whole one of these. It was actually her first time, I believe, trying komaboko. But I will say this is one of my favorite things. Absolutely delicious. It's not an overpowering taste. Not what you would think of when you think of seafood. Of course, I'm a really big seafood buff. I love seafood. But this stuff is absolutely delicious, and I would highly suggest it if you've never tried it. And like I said, you can actually, a lot of times you'll find it in ramen, especially if you're eating like fresh ramen. and not prepackaged. But a lot of times you'll find dried komaboko in your ramen as well. And that's what that is. It's just a fish cake. Very, very tasty. And then lastly, we got ourselves some more kimchi. This stuff, this is top radish kimchi. There's all different kinds of kimchi. Basically, it's fermented vegetables. You know, this is fermented radish. So, but I've actually opened this up. This stuff, you can use it in cooking. It's very, very common to be used in cooking. I use it for budae. But anyways, what budae is, it translates to army stew. It's a Korean dish. You'll do it with generally kimchi and like a tomato soup, and then you can add different meats. It originated, basically, the Koreans had easier access to like American foods, and like during the war and everything, and they started, preparing these dishes with using these American foods like hot dogs and Spam and stuff. So what budae is, it's, that sauce, like tomato sauce, and then kimchi and hot dogs and Spam and sardines, stuff like that, or the dried anchovies, stuff like that. And anyways, it's cooked up in a pot. It's basically like a big, like almost a little bit of spicy soup. I usually add like chili paste and stuff like that to it. It's very, very tasty. And, the hot dogs are the best because they soak up so much juice. So generally, you'll dice up hot dogs, but generally I'll throw in like a pack of whole hot dogs as well, because you can just sit and eat those and they're absolutely delicious. And then you can also throw them on a hot dog bun. Let them soak up that juice for like a day or two. And then generally we'll throw noodles in there too and everything. So there's all different kinds of ways to make budae. It's one of those dishes that kind of originated in, was kind of changed across different places based on the meats and stuff that they had. So, if you look online, there's all different kinds of recipes for budae. That's just usually how I'll make it personally. It was actually introduced to me by a Korean friend. So, and she taught me how to make it, and it's absolutely delicious. But anyways, this is top radish kimchi. And if we open this up here, you can see it's basically like fermented radish, and then you'll have some of the whole radish there. So, and this stuff, like I said, you can use it for cooking, all different kinds of purposes, uses for it for cooking, but you can also sit and eat this stuff. I know when my dad got hooked on it, he'd go through a jar like this in like, like a week. He was eating it, all the time. And generally that's how Koreans will eat it. They will eat it just, kimchi is a major part of their diet. And I know my Korean friend, she made her own kimchi because it was just, it's cheaper, to make it. And it's not super complicated to make. And because, she would eat it. Like a jar like this would be like a couple days, It's because I know generally they'll want something, at least something pickled or, kimchi or something like that every meal. So, and I know her personally, she would actually get kind of sick to her stomach. Because I know a few times we took her out to eat and she would ask them, like, do you have a pickle or something like that? Because she would start getting sick to her stomach if she didn't have something like that. So, but anyways, that's the majority of things. I may have forgotten something, but I don't think I did. But like I said, I know the video was a little bit long. I tried to cover everything quick and concise without going into too much detail. I know I rambled a couple times. Like I said, we go every few months because we just kind of stock up, and actually it's very, very cheap. Especially if you buy like the ingredients and stuff like that, and ramen's not usually all that cheap because you'll eat let's say I just ate ramen, over the course of a day, I might eat 1 or 2 packs and, I'm good for the whole day because it's actually very filling. I think a lot of people in America think of it as just like a college food or something like that, but that's not actually the case. Granted, Maruchan or something like that brand, that's a totally different story. That's just a packet of mix and some noodles, not all that tasty. Usually the only way I'll buy Maruchan, because even at our Walmart there's better choices than that kind of ramen. But generally, if we just need ramen for something like budae or something like that, we'll buy those, toss those flavor packets, and just throw that ramen in there. But other than that, that's not really ramen. But I don't know. It's not, you know, I think that gives ramen a bad name, whereas normal ramen is very, very flavorful and, you know, very, very tasty. So, but yeah. So anyways, I'm going to end it there. I know it's running long. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not already. You know, if you want to see more stuff like this, you know, whatever you guys want to see, let me know. Hit that like button. Let me know that you enjoyed it. It was something a little bit different than what I normally do, but I know I had a couple questions, and I figured this was probably the best way to answer it, so you guys could actually see. And I try to briefly cover everything. I mean, there's a lot more to this stuff, and uses and things like that. But like I said, if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know, and I'll do my best to get those answered for you. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope maybe you learned something, or you know, at least had a good time. And yeah. So, like I said, I mean, we do it every few months, and, you know, if you guys want to see more of this, you know, let me know. And I'm not against trying anything, so if you guys are like, try this, you know, I eat everything. I'll try everything at least once. Very few things I find that I don't like. So, I'm very open-minded when it comes to food. Like, when I was in Japan, they were like, try this. I was like, okay, I don't know. Anything. I'll try anything. So, anyways, I'm going to end it there. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe, and I'm probably going to go... This video has made me really, really hungry, so I'm probably going to go make some food real quick. So I hope to see you guys next time.